Sammi Hardwick, welcome to 2020 Revision.
Hi, happy to be here.
Now, you're the director of Double Tap Agency. I want you to take us through 2020 from your perspective.
Okay, 2020 was actually a bit of a wild ride for us, but ultimately, I think it was one of our best years yet. So maybe a little different to a lot of other businesses, but being in the digital space, we actually found that we were busy. Granted, when COVID first hit, I went into a little bit of a freak out because I wasn't really sure what was involved, I guess, like everyone else. Like, what does it mean? Where do we go? What can we do? What can we not do? How does this affect business? How does this affect pretty much everything? So we had probably like a 2-week freak out. I have 2 girls that work for me in-house. And I was just like, girls, look, I'm not sure what's going to happen here, but let's just lock and load it and see where we end up. Then I guess we rode the wave for a bit, and then the wave was pretty epic, and we're flying into the back end of the year, which is great.
So what were the main challenges, I guess, in that 2-week freak out period that you had, or what were the things that you were sort of looking at the doom and gloom rather than the positive side of it? Because everybody has their story for this year, right?
Yeah, and I definitely had a major mental breakdown there, where I think I just kind of like locked myself in my house and freaked out. So I think for us, one thing that was really, really clear is that Double Tap's not very old, so we're heading into our 4th year, and it was a one-man band, and over time I've grown, I've got contractors now, and heading into this COVID period, the girls weren't signed on as employees, they're signed on as contractors. And for me, I obviously couldn't get them any government funding and things like that. And for me, that really played on me a lot because they're awesome client staff. And if we were to kind of fall apart for a bit and I couldn't give them as much work, I kept thinking about how that was going to impact them and their families, and that I wouldn't be able to support. So I think that was the first freak out, like the girls losing their jobs as such during a time where no one needed to lose their job. We worked around that in the end, which was good, and we didn't need to make too many changes. However, it did make me then sit with my accountant and bookkeeper and stuff and go, right, how do we restructure the business so that moving forward, if this ever happens again, everyone's pretty secure, even myself, that I can be okay and that the business is all right. So we spent a lot of time restructuring how I set up the business, which we're still working on now, which once I realized that we're all comfortable, we're fine. I guess the second thing that really hit me is I've never had to hustle for a client. So I've been really lucky that I've had a lot of referrals, and then, I mean, majority of my clients have come from referral, or through our social media account, which we don't work too hard on, to be honest. It's just like a platform that we love, obviously, as digital marketers, but we've never had to do hard sales pushes. So for me, it was sitting and taking my own advice and putting it back into the business. So everything that I tell my clients, I now had to implement for myself. Which then finding the time to do that, as every business owner knows, you spend less time on your own business and all your time on your clients. That was difficult. But what I ended up doing is saying to the girls, hey, look, I want to keep you employed so you can take all the workload. You guys get it done, so that keeps us going, and then I'll spend the time working on the business. And then from there, what we were able to do is shift and allow for the girls then to manage Double Tap, and I would take on the clients if needed. So we just reshuffled how we worked internally. And once that was humming, everything's been good.
So that change in structure sort of allowed you to sort of move forward, I guess. And like many businesses around the country, kind of like forced into a sink or swim situation where, you know, pivot and agile and all these buzzwords just become like crazy, but in essence, they were true in so many businesses, and yours was no different.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I had done all the wrong things when I started my business as well. I literally set up a website just really quickly. I just got my social medias going. I hadn't properly set up the structure of the business. So during COVID, I spent all my time focusing on that. So we redid the website. We rewrote all the copy. I got a copywriter in. She rewrote the site. We changed all the branding. So my graphic designer, she redid all the colors, and to bring it more in line with who we are now. We redid all of our socials. We worked on getting paid advertising live. All the things that I tell my clients to do, I now did for myself. And I put in a marketing calendar. So we're fully planned for Double Tap now up until mid-2021 for all of our marketing, which again, I tell my clients to do, but never did it for myself. So we're actually looking good heading into 2021 for once.
Now, what about like from a client perspective? Did you have similar experiences from then? Were there ones that were coming to you freaking out? Were there ones that just sort of pulled the pin because they no longer had the budget for digital marketing and social media? Was it a combination of everything? What was the main message, or what was the main line of questioning from your clients?
Good question. Okay, so I had a immediate loss of clients, which probably contributed to my mental breakdown. So I, at the time, had a lot of clients in the event space and weddings and locations. So they obviously were impacted pretty heavily during this time, and I lost all of them in one day. I also lost a lot of our smaller businesses. So I think at one point there was a day there where I had 12 contracts be terminated, and that freaked me out. However, some of them, they terminated without any real chat. I think it was more from them just like they're freaking. So we terminated the contracts, we put them on hold, and then we worked with them to come up with a plan of attack on how that they could still function, use us, and move through the process so that the business can stay on the digital platforms and in front of as many people as possible. I guess my number one question during that time is, how do I keep my business open and people know that I'm open? That was like every single client, no matter what, if they were in fashion retail or a restaurant or an event space or whatever it might be, they were like, how do we stay front of mind and how do we let everybody know that we're open? It's just that we have a different way of operating now.
And did that then lead you to come up with a plan or a blueprint moving forward for each of the clients for that specific question, because it was a question everybody was asking at that time?
Yeah. So, yes, because obviously I've never lived a COVID life before. So I wasn't actually sure what the answer was at the end of the day. I was more, and I had to make that really clear to my clients, like, guys, just as much as you, I'm really not sure of how this is going to go. So let's work together, stay really positive and get through this. And I had to spend a few days kind of testing on Double Tap, because I do all of the testing on our own accounts and things like that to see how it goes before I roll it out with any client, and see what was needed to keep everyone relevant. So the first thing I noticed is that a lot of our localized businesses were not actually present on the internet. So they had social media accounts, but they didn't have websites. They didn't have a Google My Business. They didn't have a proper Facebook account set up. They didn't have a business manager. They literally just had an Instagram account that they might post to through us, or they might manage it themselves. And then they have a Facebook account, which we would then run the ads off the back of. But because they were localized, a lot of the other parts of digital, they just didn't have. So whether they were new clients that were coming to me being like, oh my God, what do I do? Or old clients, crap, where do we go from here? I set up like an audit template that we ran through. So any new client, old client, we ran through, do you have this? Do you have that? How does this look? How does that look? What are your numbers at? What do your numbers need to be to stay afloat? So on and so forth. And before we activated any form of marketing, that's what we would run through. Now, previously, we really didn't need to worry about that because the client might come to us just for Facebook advertising. So they only need us for one funnel, and we would presume that either they're managing the rest or someone else is. So we would never take a proper holistic look at how their digital platforms are performing, if they exist at all. That's now something that that will no longer happen here. We will forever ask you about, use this audit template and ask you about all the areas of your digital marketing before we activate with you. Which I think at the end of the day, I should have done this a long time ago. I think that we just get very, very busy, and we were, bringing clients on. They needed things done now. Let's get this activated. Let's get that activated. We'd be firing everything off. And at the end of the day, I think that we have now brought a much better process into place that even sets the clients up for the future. So let's say we had one client come to us. She didn't have a proper website. It was just a landing page. That's all she needed. She was a local boutique. She didn't sell online. She just needed a landing page so people knew her address, the brands that she stocked, and then we ran all of her advertising based on her Instagram account. So just sending people to Instagram that could see what stock was in, then you'd locally go to the store, pick it up, try it on. Very, very basic. She's now fully online. You can now shop online, you can order online, you can do everything that you need to do. Contact her. She's got a customer service staff member. Her shopfront is actually now closed, and she only operates online.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, that's a positive out of a negative.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, that audit came into plan. So now what she has in action is she has a 12-month marketing plan in action. And within that, we've dropped into it, by June 2021, are we going to activate AdWords? What's your monthly maintenance on your website? We dropped in, what's her SEO? So she's now working with someone to improve on her SEO and things like that. So that's something that we really just didn't have in play before, and now we do, and I'm finding the clients are loving it.
So that aha moment in this period of desperation created inspiration for you pretty much to say, well, this will be something that we'll use moving forward. So like an audit or like a holistic health check pretty much for every business creates opportunity for you moving forward.
Yeah, and it really has. And within that, it made me, so we used to offer everything here at Double Tap. So whether it was SEO, website, the whole lot, it also then made me go, right, what do we want to offer? What are we best at to be able to help the clients with moving forward? And then where can we bring in our other resources to assist them, but we not manage it anymore? And then that's where this audit also came into play. It allowed for me to go, right, you know what? I don't love this. And I reckon there's someone that can assist us to make sure that this client gets a better outcome. So I've kind of partnered up with a few people to make sure that we can get the best results for everyone as well.
Did you find that people with, I guess, a smaller budget were then perhaps becoming more creative with the content that they were doing themselves? Like, back in the day, obviously people would spend a whole lot of money on advertising, whether it be the Sydney Morning Herald or ads or different kind of things in the local paper. Whereas now, like, this is a cost-effective way to promote your own business from within with a small amount of money behind it.
Yeah. So we have worked always with clients that have anywhere from a tiny budget to a massive budget. So it's a bit of an array of people here, but I've always had the most fun working on the accounts that have the smallest budget, simply because I have to be super creative. For a couple of $100 a month, what can we do for you? How can we make this better? How do we get a awesome return on ad spend? Things like that. We had a lot of clients pull their spend all together just so that they were able to have us manage their organic accounts. Because obviously, unfortunately, you have to pay for our services. So that meant that sometimes people were, you're too busy running the day-to-day of your business that even as you lose budget, you still need someone to help you. So we cut our advertising spend, manage account spend with us so that you could put that back into advertising. We really honed in on organic social media. We made clients focus heavily on SEO if they didn't already. We also worked on things like referral campaigns, email marketing campaigns, all of these channels that clients wouldn't have used otherwise. So a lot of restaurants and things like that, they don't use email marketing on a daily basis. It's very much social media based. So we would fire off, they have huge email marketing lists as well, a lot of these restaurants. So we would fire off email marketing campaigns. That's a low budget activation that they haven't used ever. We set up things like automations as well for heaps of our clients. So birthday campaigns, welcome emails, subscription emails, all of these things that they also didn't have at play that, again, we've now set up for a really free for a lot of people that are now firing, and taken away from the conventional, oh my God, let's throw all of our money into Facebook, let's throw all of our money into Google AdWords. Although I'm a huge advocate for both of those platforms, when you do have a low budget, there are so many other options.
So what was the feedback then from the clients when they were starting to get results during what was essentially like a down economic period?
Everyone was pumped. I'm actually so lucky that this period I've had really positive results for my clients. It was just making sure that using, I guess, like a buzzword, that everyone like reset, pivoted, did whatever else. And I have now had clients who have increased their budgets with us, have signed on for longer periods, all off the back of how we performed during COVID. It wasn't all positive. There was a few clients that just simply, it was really tough and it was really hard for them, and we did have to part ways because their businesses were unable to survive the quiet time. And that just really played a lot to do with the industry that they are in and how heavily impacted it was. But the ones that we had great results for, it's been awesome. Like we've signed people up now for the next 12 months.
Well, speaking of the next 12 months, what is 2021 looking like for you, and what are you most looking forward to?
Well, I'm going to take a break in January, so I'm really looking forward to that. But off the back of that, I think I'm just looking forward to seeing how the industry changes heading into the next 12 months. So we all know that digital marketing now, it's busy, but it's very noisy. So I'm interested to see how, now that the COVID messaging is slowly drifting away, businesses are coming back to our new norm, what the industry now does, what people need from me. Is it going to change again? Will there be a shift in what's required? And what will that mean from an like a spend perspective as well? I think we just touched on it, how you can now do a lot of marketing for very little spend, and what's that going to look like heading into 2021? So example, I think that email marketing will be huge for us here. I think a lot more clients will be activating automations and emails, and how that then drives conversions. So I'm pumped to see how that moves forward. And then from a business perspective, I'm just keen to see Double Tap grow, to be honest. We've got a huge focus into 2021 to have the business grow. I'm looking to bring on some new staff to help us so that we can service our clients better. And then I guess I'm just really interested to see how social media as well. There was a lot happening during that time. So not only was it COVID, but there was a lot of global bits and bobs going on. So there was obviously in America, there was like an election, and there was a lot of rallies and events, you know, with equality and so on and so forth. And that changed the landscape as well for us. And I'm interested to see if that trend stays on board moving into 2021, or if people are going to kind of go back to being comfortable and not have, and where if they're going to have a voice still. Are we still going to be loud and noisy, or are we going to kind of settle back into the day-to-day?
Now, I'll declare an interest here. Double Tap looks after the Tucker Media website. Where can people find Double Tap on everywhere?
Everywhere. We are everywhere. So social media, Double Tap Agency. We have website, Double Tap Agency. We're based on Sydney's Northern Beaches, but we service clients all over, and we have clients in New Zealand as well. And then, yeah, we have a little head office here at the Loft in Warriewood. But yeah, online, Double Tap Agency. And if you can't find us, then we're obviously not doing our job properly.
Sammi Hardwick, thanks for joining us on 2020 Revision.
Thank you for having me.